My name is Jeff Gross, and I'm here with my Aunt Betty Bradford, who is the daughter of Susie Clemens. And Susie Clemens would be my great-grandmother. My grandmother, Mary Gross, was a sister of Betty's. So welcome, Betty, and we're glad that you're here today. I do know that you were only 8 years old when your mother passed.
Yes, I was.
So a lot of your memories are early memories,
Right.
and those of your...
And what I've heard from my brothers and sisters about her, they describe her as being somebody who was very friendly, very outgoing, a vivacious type of person. Well, she was born in May of 1881, and she met my father, I think, at a young people's gathering, they called, and they dated for several years, and then they were married. 2 years later, she was only 19. Her family belonged to the Reformed Church, and of course, Dad was a member of the Mennonite Church, so when they married, she joined the Mennonite Church, which means she had to wear the plain clothing and the black bonnet and everything, but evidently she was able to fit into that lifestyle, but that's just the way she was. She was very, whatever somebody wanted her to do, she was always willing to do. But her sisters had a harder time with that. They couldn't quite imagine her dressing that way. A year later, they had their first child.
Okay.
And she went on to have 13 more children. 4 died in infancy, but I was number 14. I always say they saved the best till last.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
I was born in 1924.
Her husband, John, was a big entrepreneur.
Oh, he was.
He was involved in so many things, and she supported him, and
Yes.
she worked there at Pleasant Valley.
Yes,
Packing
she would
Company.
work. She would work in the butcher house besides caring for her large family, and but she loved being with people. She was a people person.
You said about she also went to market.
Yes.
And about, tell us
Saturday
about that.
mornings, Dad had a retail sales market, and she would love to go. And the customers would love to see her come. Is that there was always a line waiting for Mom to wait on them, because when she would weigh something out for them, she'd always be very generous. And then also when it came to paying for it, she wouldn't always charge them maybe the full price, so they all wanted Mom to wait on them.
Well, and that was shown, she supported her husband, like we said,
Oh,
in all his endeavors
absolutely,
and everything.
yes. And we know he probably made some rash decisions at times, doing different things. And they said he would always, go to Philly with a truckload of something, but he would never bring it back empty. He would always have something he'd bring back, and he would sell or do something with. So she never knew really what was going to happen the next, but she was there for him, supporting him.
Well, you talked about how many children she had and
Yes.
where you were in the place, but you also mentioned that she lost 4 children. And
Yes, she
I can't
did.
imagine, what that would be
I
like,
know.
especially in today's world.
She had three living children. I had 2 older brothers and a sister, and then she had 3 more, her next 3 pregnancies. She lost those babies, and they were seemingly healthy when they were born. But back in those days when they had chest congestion, they called it pleurisy, and they just didn't have the medicines that we have today, and they just couldn't survive. And then she was pregnant again with my sister Susie, and someone said, during that pregnancy, she said, "Oh, I don't know if I can go through this again," after losing 3 babies. But Susie was a healthy little baby. But then her next pregnancy was another little girl, and she lost her when I think she was about 9 days old. But then after that, she had 6 more healthy babies.
Well, there's been struggles in our lives, and that's one of the things that, helps build our faith.
Right.
And one of the struggles that they had was a fire, that
Oh,
the house
yes.
caught on fire.
Yes.
And tell us about
They
that.
were, it was a Sunday afternoon. It was typical back then. After church, somebody would always have Sunday dinner somewhere. I know Mom and Dad entertained a lot of people, but this Sunday they were at someone else's house for Sunday dinner, and they got word in the afternoon that their house was on fire. Well, they got home, and it was completely gone. Nothing was saved. And Dad had just bought a player piano for the girls a day or two before, a brand new one, and it was ruined. And Mother was pregnant at that time, 2 months pregnant, and it said in this book that she fainted when she saw what was happening. And she was so afraid that maybe it would affect the baby, but it didn't. Les was born in November, and but they lost absolutely everything, no clothing or anything, but neighbors and relatives took them in, and they received a lot of help because Mother was the kind who would always be helping her neighbors all the time and giving, and then they were just returning that favor. But then they did rebuild, and they stayed there. And I think Mother, because of her optimistic spirit, she was a big help to Dad during those hard times. She was always there supporting him and boosting up his morale. She was a happy person, and in spite of difficulties she had some health problems. She always walked with a slight limp.
Okay.
And I was reading in this book that at one time she had quite severe infection in her leg.
Okay.
And that left her with that limp.
Okay.
And then it seemed like she always had sort of stomach problems. One thing I remember about her, she always would have a mint in her mouth. She would, as though she had upset stomach, and she was in the hospital twice for her gallbladder.
Okay.
And the second time, she had surgery for the gallbladder. That was in May of '33. She had surgery on a Monday morning, and she seemed to be doing fine. She came through the surgery fine. The doctor was very encouraging. In fact, Dad had been with her all day, but in the evening, the doctor said, well, you could go out and get a bite to eat, because he hadn't left her side all day. And then when he came back, she was gone already. It was about 8:30 in the evening. They don't know if it maybe was a blood clot that happened so suddenly. But everybody was so devastated because we had gotten the news that Mom came through surgery fine, and everybody was feeling real encouraged. And then to get that news, it was really, really, really hard.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was,
Were you 8 or?
yeah,
Okay.
I was 8.
Wow. I can't imagine at 8 years old.
I know.
Losing my mother.
I know.
It just must, and I'm sure for your dad.
He was devastated. He really, really, really was, because she was such a big help to him.
Wow. And then at that time, the duties of mother passed on to some of your older
Well,
siblings.
Hannah was the one. Well, I don't know if Mother might have had a premonition, but she did tell Hannah when Hannah was able to go down. Now, see, Les and I were always too young to visit the hospital because we couldn't go in to see her. But the first time she was in, she would stand at the window and wave to us. But Hannah said that Mom had told her, take care of the children. That's what she told her. So she might have had a premonition that maybe she wouldn't be coming home. But like I said, she had so many friends. They said there were over 1,500 people at her funeral.
Wow.
Yeah, the cars were lined up from Tom Ensign Church clear back to the other two churches.
You yourself have a large family. And,
Yes, I do. I have, there's almost 80 in my family already. I can't believe that. I have 6 children and 33 grandchildren, 17 grandchildren, 33 great-grandchildren, and almost 3 great. So there's 5 generations already in my family.
Wow. I just can't imagine what your mom would think about that. You know?
Oh my!
Well,
I can't wait till I get to heaven to meet my mom again. She was such a good mom, but she was never too busy to take time for her grandchildren. You know, if they want to be held, even though she was busy doing something, she'd sit down and hold them and just make a fuss over them. And I always remember she loved to sing. She would always sing. And we really were a singing family. But she was a woman of strong faith. She loved her Lord, and she taught us all well the importance of a relationship with the Lord.
she'd be really surprised today to, you know, when
Oh,
she would
my.
see 867 members and growing, and that's
Yes,
a lot of
right.
grandchildren.
Yeah, there's still all these families. And you know what? She wants every one of them to be in heaven with her. That
Okay.
would be her. That was a legacy she left, that we would all be, that the circle wouldn't be broken. She lived what she believed. It isn't as though we had a lot of formal training and teaching and everything, but we saw it modeled in front of us, and that's what we did. And she would be so humbled by this recognition she would be getting now. She'd say, "Oh," because she always wanted to be in the background. You know, she didn't do anything to call attention to herself at all.
Well, thank you, Aunt Betty, for
Yes.
taking this time to sit with us and tell us
Right.
a little bit about your mom, Susie, and her
Right.
life and
And
family.
I am so appreciative that she is getting some recognition now because, like I say, she was always such an important part of the business and, of course, our family. And it seemed like she just was always there, we could always depend on her, but she never received. So I am so happy that she is, at this late date, getting some recognition.
Well, thank you again for the honor of naming this after my great-grandmother and Betty's mom.